Hello, and I'm not going to do a song this time because.
Thank God. You just did a song.
Oh, well. Twinkle, twinkle. Just kidding. I'm Jenny, and you are listening and watching the Holistic Life podcast.
Right.
That's Jay, because some of you haven't met him yet. And today we are celebrating, oh my God, we're celebrating 2 years of living full time on the road as full time travelers, digital nomads. What are some other terms? I just heard a new one, residentially fluid.
Uh,
That is us. And this podcast, we talk about all things about life. And I don't know, I don't really have like a tagline for the podcast right now. Do you?
no.
Okay, well, let me pop over here. So I've got the computer over here to see if there's any comments that come through. And 2 years. We're going to be talking about lessons learned, what we knew before. We're going to answer questions because we received a bunch of questions on social media. We're going to talk about what's next for us. I don't know what that means, but we will explore and find out. So, Jay.
It's always interesting doing these on videos because it's like 10:10 and we had everything set up like 30 minutes before and technical difficulties. And it always interests me how Jenny can just flip it on like, oh my God, I'm so happy. I'm like, oh man, we just sit here for like 10 minutes trying to figure this shit out. And anyway, one of the things is honoring, learning, and understanding how the other person works.
Yes. Yes.
Earlier there was the computer in the frame, and she was like, "Oh my God, it's distracting." I'm like, nobody fucking cares. So it's just, I mean, it's that's the thing. Traveling, living, and working together. It's
with
just
somebody else. Yeah.
This is this is
versus like on
all
your
of
own. Because if you're just like living in a van on your own, you do whatever you want whenever you want, right?
Yeah.
I mean, for us, we're going to pop back and forth between some of the questions because some of the questions actually go into the story if you
Sweet.
don't know our story.
Well, you can be the driver in the driver's seat. I'll just navigate here.
Well, that's literal and
yeah, I know.
Okay. So one of the questions is what inspired you to make the decision of a nomadic lifestyle?
We hired a coach, an intuitive coach, and one of our sessions, I'm not going to tell a long story, but anyway, one of the long sessions, she was like, I basically see you guys traveling. And Jenny's always wanted to go all over the world. And apparently, if you talk to all of my friends, I have too, but somewhere along the way, like, I don't know what happened. But I was like, all right, cool. I'm down. It was conditions though. I was like 6 to 12 months, good for 6 to 12 months because I put this apartment together in St. Petersburg. It was a work of art. Let me tell you, it was a work of technological art that I was like, okay, I'm cool with stepping away for half a year, 12 months, because I've built my palace. I'm comfortable here. And yeah, and that started it.
Mm-hmm. And really, initially, and I know that some of you listening or watching have heard this story, but of course, we have lots of new people in our world that
I don't care.
know nothing.
People tell stories all the time. It doesn't matter.
So, when we first started, we said we were going to do 4 to 6 months, maybe a year. I remember at the time you were like, I don't know, a year seems like a long time.
A year was pushing it.
But it's like 4 to 6 months was Jay's comfort zone. A year was him leaning in to his wife, being like, come on, maybe a year. And he was like, fine, maybe a year. So that kind of appeased me, even though in his mind it was always like 4 to 6 months.
Yeah.
And then we were going to
be done.
Settle back down. And about 4 months in, we had a conversation and we were like, I really like this. He said, I really like this. And so we decided just to continue. And here we are at the 2-year mark. So I'm going to ask you, Jay, from the beginning of saying like 4 to 6 months and that point at 4 months where you said you wanted to keep going, here we are at 2 years. Like, talk me through kind of what that's like for you over time. Like, what shifted, what changed, what's different? I don't know, just like unpack some of that a little bit.
I mean, like I said, didn't start living by myself until my 20s because of my visual impairment. And I think that was the thing for me. Like all my friends were like, "Well, you always wanted to travel. You want to I always wanted to travel because I lived with somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
I, it was basically their house, their rules, when having to deal with the intricacies of living with two or three other people. So then it was like, yes, yes, I want to travel because I don't want to be here
Mm-hmm.
because this isn't mine. I have a piece of this,
Mm-hmm.
and then to have my own, it's different. It's like, why would I want to go anywhere? Like everything I couldn't do there, I can do here. And like, yes, I'm. If you ask my best friend, he'll tell you is like I literally had an apartment in my mom's house. Like my room was a whole different like apartment.
Like a whole different vibe, a whole different everything.
That just like
Yeah.
literally, I could live in my room for
Mm-hmm.
2 months. I was like that good.
So you wanted the grounding, you wanted the comforts, you wanted, like you said, the fact that it was an art. So here we are in plenty of different locations, because if you don't know already, we stay at Airbnbs, furnished
I'm pretty sure
places.
that's a
Well,
question we're gonna answer. So
well, no, but I'm saying that because we're not in our own van or RV where the decor is ours, the comfort is ours, where you still could have created that
I mean,
experience. So here we are in all these random
you
places.
learn how to um and anyone you can travel however you want to travel. You can travel
Hmm.
as minimalistic as you want. You can um travel as exquisitely as you want. That's the cool thing. It's your choice. So I think for me, it's still finding the comfort of being comfortable or having some quote unquote luxuries, and still being like, okay, I know we can't pack the kitchen sink with us too because there's only so much space.
Hmm.
So it's finding that common ground. And I have a knack for finding like smaller stuff
Hmm.
that still will what I want to say.
Fly and functional.
Not only flying
Oh,
functional, but
that's like
like
his thing.
um just because it's small, you really don't need big stuff if the smaller stuff can still get the job done.
Okay.
Like we used to have an entire podcasting setup.
Like a big mic, like, oh wow, look, the mic, follow me over here. It's only on you. Is that okay?
You did when you waved, you did tracking.
Oh, we'll move it back over.
I don't know how to turn off tracking.
I don't know. Sorry, guys. We've got a new setup here on the camera.
So it's like gestures or something.
Well, I'm not going to find that. So keep talking.
So it's just finding the level of your level of comfort, and still understanding um, things might be different and growing and evolving.
Hmm. The thing is so we actually recorded a podcast. I should have looked this up ahead of time, but we recorded a podcast like after our 1 year mark about lessons and whatnot. So you can always go back and find that, because I think it's like Lessons of a Nomad is what it was called. You can go back and find that. Here's what I'm curious. So when we look back, what are some of the lessons that you feel like, whether it be overall or over the past year? And if you want to distinguish, like, here's lessons from year one and here's lessons from year two.
You can start.
Well, I did a whole podcast episode on mine that's going to come out next week on the Life of Interest podcast, where I shared, I mean, it's over a 30-minute episode where I went into different lessons and everything. So for me, I feel like for us, like the first year, because I thought Jay was eventually going to be like, I'm done, I wanted to go see as much as possible. So we were staying like 2 weeks at a time, going around, seeing all the world, going to all the parks, doing all the things. And then now that it's become our lifestyle, we stay 1 to 3 months at a time typically. And it allows us to be able to, like there's a word called slow matting, I think is what it is.
Hmm.
And instead of, like, there are nomads, because here's the thing that I have found. I don't agree with it, but here's the thing that I have found when it comes to like the culture within the digital nomad world. a lot of the digital nomad groups are focused on global travel, and that's amazing. We do want to go global eventually. And the thing is I find that in that global travel, there's like really, I haven't found, if you guys know where they are, send them over. But like, I feel like it's so much on the global that it's like, oh, so what? You're staying at Airbnbs in the USA. Like, you're not a digital nomad because you're not traveling to Thailand and Berlin and wherever.
All right, jumping in real quick.
Yeah.
Lesson 1: define your own fucking trip,
Yes.
man.
Yes.
Like, don't let anyone tell you what you're doing isn't what you're doing just because it doesn't fall in their box of
Yes.
how they feel it should be done.
Yeah.
So like if you can only travel in the US, like fucking travel in the US.
Or whatever country you live
Like,
in.
you know,
Yeah.
we're doing it because our oldest dog, he will be 14 this year.
Mm-hmm.
And we
Mhm.
really don't want to travel overseas with him because that'll probably be a bigger challenge than anything else.
Yeah.
So just because you're not traveling around now, man, fuck
Right.
that. Do
Totally.
you. Lesson number 1, do you. Whatever that looks like. As we continue this on, we've probably done some stuff. You'll probably be like, yeah, no, that's not for me. Cool.
Mhm.
Find your thing.
Yes.
Whatever your thing is, and do the shit out of it.
Yep. Yeah, I totally. Because even
Oh,
as
sorry, I was triggered. I'm
no, it's
sorry.
perfect because like year 1, we had a little bit different of a focus. Year 2, we had a different focus because year 2, we spent primarily most of year 2 because in May is when we were in Augusta.
Mhm.
We were in Augusta for a month, and then we went to Lake City for a month. Then we were in the Villages for a month.
Then we're in Florida
Then we were
forever.
in Vero Beach for 4 months between 2 locations. Then we were in Clearwater for a month, and then we were in the Panhandle of Florida for like 3.5 months. So year 2 was much more of the, okay, let's integrate this in and stay
Right.
a little longer so that we can have like
Well, the thing,
normalcy in the life.
normalcy
but there's
too,
certain-
and Jenny's a social butterfly,
Yeah.
so it's difficult, it's challenging. Although, you know, as excited as she is to see new places, and oh my god, I'm so young and I have to see the world before 50. Like it's
I want
crazy
to
to
see
me.
everywhere. I
So,
have such a wanderlust soul.
but you know, it, connecting is important too, and you can only do so much connecting where you're only somewhere for 14 days.
Yeah.
And you can't really see the community, you can't really see like the city wherever you're staying. So it's important to kind of get in immersed in the culture,
Mm-hmm.
because you can sit in front of a the boob tube all you want to, and they can tell you what's going on in a certain place. But once again, that's their scope of what's going on,
Mm-hmm.
right? Until you actually get there and actually
See it
like
for
get
yourself.
into the community and actually talk to the people,
Yeah.
you really don't know. One of the
Yeah.
biggest things, another lesson is for me is like we're more alike, not but just the places we've read, people in general, human beings,
Mm-hmm.
we're more alike than we are different. And a lot of this what do they call it, this separation, these separation tactics that are going on by can I say it, media and these other outlets that paint these pictures, they're put in place to separate us.
Mm-hmm.
But we are more alike than we are different. But you really don't know that until you get out, you talk to people, and you learn. You know, it's like, huh, wow, we're not really different.
Yeah, it's really true because it's interesting when you were saying like whether it be from TV or for friends or whatever, oh, don't go there, it's like this. Like even before we came here to Asheville, North Carolina, you know, people were like, "Oh, the crime is really horrible there. You don't want to go there. Don't go downtown. It's horrible." And while there is truth in everything that is said, our experience here has been really great. Like it sounded like we were walking into World War III
I
coming here.
I know I've another lesson. If you're counting, this is lesson 3 from Jay. Is what is the Q word? Qualify your questions.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, ask qualifying questions. So okay, yes, the crime is bad, but if you've grown up in somewhere like this where they probably don't lock their doors, at night. Like, what are you comparing to? I
Mhm.
spent the majority of my life in a big city. So when you say crime, like, what do you mean? Do you mean like Houston crime? Do you mean New York crime? Or do you mean, oh, the local sheriff, I know him personally. We drink at the bar, and because that's a whole different level. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying?
Mhm.
Because you telling me like downtown crime is huge. I'm thinking like downtown Houston, not, you Manhattan crime. You know what I'm saying? And
Mhm.
then you're like, but your scope of crime is like here, and I'm like, what? No,
Mhm.
I'm good.
Yeah.
So yes,
Yeah.
ask qualifying questions, because we've been many places where people are like, oh my god, this is the best pizza in the world, and it tastes like
It's
lunchroom
not.
cafeteria
Yeah.
pizza.
Well, and jumping to another lesson, because obviously we could spend so much time
Yep.
like
I
going
you
down
know
all
what?
of these things.
I'm just gonna insert lessons as we
Yeah,
talk.
that's what I was saying, because it's going to keep coming up. Because then say a big lesson for me, it has been trusting. And what I find is when I talk to different people who are curious about the nomad lifestyle, who are intrigued, to say it's their lifelong dream or they would love to do something like this, one of the biggest hurdles for someone to overcome to really step into this and lean and be willing to go is trusting. Like there's a lot of trust. And I'm not talking about, this isn't related to the crime thing. I'm talking about trusting that it's going to work out, because coming from, and I've talked to people about this, like coming from more of like a control type of mindset, like where you're used to controlling every aspect of your life. And then you come into this, because one of the questions is how do you decide where to go next? So like for us, sometimes we're not booking a place until a couple days before we're moving. Other times we're booking it 2 weeks ahead. Other times we're booking it a month or more ahead. It just depends.
I'm keeping 100 with y'all. Budget.
Well, but no, but yes, budget, but also there's that sense of, like you answered directly. I was still talking about the sense of trust, like trusting that it's all going to work out. Okay, so we'll talk about the actual, like, how do you decide where to go? Budget, amenities, decides where we're going to go
That's
next.
yeah. That's real. Amenities are really,
Mm-hmm.
really, really high on the list, and it's finding, it's and I can see how someone could get overwhelmed and spinning the block about what you were saying. You know what I'm saying? Doubling back about trusting. It's like, okay, we want these particular amenities. And even with that, it's kind of like, okay, what are the takeaways? Because yes, we would love to sleep in a king size bed everywhere we go.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's just not going to happen. It is what it is. So now with Nietzsche and Miko, as you see, this little guy is chilling.
Mm-hmm.
It's trying to find a place for a backyard for them, because
Mm-hmm.
especially Miko, he loves like laying out in the sun and just like running around and bouncing. And
Yeah.
it's like, okay, where can we find a fenced in place, where they can just go out and just live their best doggy life as we
Mm-hmm.
travel around.
Yeah. I mean, like amenities for us, since we were talking about like the actual, like, how do we decide? You know, it's an oversized 1 bedroom. Studios are tough.
Oh,
Even if they're a little bigger, like
yeah.
they're tough because we just have a lot of things. So an oversized 1 bedroom or 2 bedroom is ideal. Ideal is 2 bathrooms, but sometimes we just have one. Um, must is like a full kitchen, like a full
Yeah.
or medium sized fridge, like a regular fridge and freezer, an oven,
Washer dryer.
washer dryer in place.
Yeah.
Because one time we booked when we were in Houston, washer dryer was in complex, and they didn't realize the nuance there because it was the first time. So while it was relatively easy, I think do we need quarters? We
Yes.
needed quarters too. So we needed quarters for that.
Or go to my mom's house.
And then we like we had to walk to the complex washer and dryer, and that's just not something that we like to do. I understand a lot of nomads, especially if you're living van life, are doing or RV, even if you don't have a washer in there, you're doing the quarter wash. Cool.
Right.
That is just for us right now where we're at.
Yeah.
That we,
Nah.
especially having dogs,
Yeah.
like we're constantly washing beds and things, and to be going.
Yeah. Once again, it's a preference for us.
Yes.
Could we do it? Yes.
Absolutely.
But we prefer to have a washer and dryer
So-
in the place.
And funny enough, I mean, it was great because we went over to his mom's house and used the washer and dryer there. So that was nice that we had that connection.
Okay.
But it was still like, yes, we were seeing his mom, but at the same time, it was still like super annoying to like, she's on the third floor, second floor, third floor. So it's like to get all of the laundry, to go over there. And then, of course, you're there for 2 hours, which is great because you're hanging out with her. But still, like every time we need to do laundry, it
when
was
she wanted to hang out.
Yeah, sometimes she was gone. She was like, see you guys. So, but then what I was going to say is that how do we decide where to go? Like a big thing is the amenities or the budget and the amenities that drive it. And then the trust that it's going to work out. Because the lesson for me that I've come to realize is that nomad life can be so much easier when you're more flexible.
Yep.
When you're more willing to be flexible with what you want to do.
That's
I mean, you can still have your standards of what's important.
When you're more willing to be flexible.
Yeah,
definitely that.
Because like, when we had to be in Clearwater in November, like we spent $1,000 over budget to stay in a place for a month. There was a lot of extra effort and anxiety that went into that. Knowing what I know now, it would have been fun to like hire the angels and trust the universe a little bit more. Because even as we're talking about this and I'm saying I'm trusting the universe, I feel like moving forward, one thing for me is going to continue to trust at an even deeper level. So here's the thing. Like, for example, we were looking for a place for our next spot here. We leave this spot where we're at now in 2 weeks. And we were looking and we went and visited a couple places around. We ended up saying yes to a local place here. It's great. Like it's a nice yes. I don't think for me it was a full body yes. So for me to be willing to be to wait in that scary 2 weeks as it gets closer and closer, to wait and see what else would present, knowing that it's all gonna.
Talking about the spot we just got?
Yeah. Like it's a yes. It's a yes. It's kind of like here. This is one thing that I shared on my stories recently. Oh, look, I'm freaking moved it. Can you wave your hands? It's on me now. It's kind of like, this is so funny. We're going to have to figure this out with.
Probably just turn the gestures off next time.
I don't know how.
That's next time.
Tracking here that. Okay. So, it's kind of like here in Asheville.
Live recording.
Asheville has all the check boxes. All the check boxes. It has hiking. It has people. It has consciousness. It has spirituality. Things to do. All the stores. We got everything here. Everything. And I could very easily live here and have an amazing, beautiful life. But like my soul isn't calling me here. That's kind of weird. My soul isn't calling me here. Is that okay? Because I see you looking at the screen.
I'm fine. I was wondering when you're gonna stop.
Okay. My soul isn't calling me here. So the next place that we're staying, it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be great. For us, it's under budget, so it's nice. It's going to be quiet. It's going to be nice. Like I'm really going to enjoy it. But it wasn't like a full body yes. It was like a yes exclamation. But it wasn't like yes. Does that make sense? Because I see you like your brain turning.
Yeah, I mean, whatever.
My point is, I feel like as we move into year 3, I'm going to be learning to trust at an even deeper level.
But here's the thing with that though. Like, yes, the place in Clearwater was.
It's still following me.
Over budget, but it was close to our storage unit.
Mm-hmm.
We were so even in that.
We were talking about Clearwater.
No, you were talking. You were talking about trusting, and the place in Clearwater we paid $1,000 over budget or whatever. And my point is, it still worked out because we were close to the storage unit. Mm-hmm. We basically filled their house with our stuff.
Yes,
we went through.
Yeah, A+ to all of that. Yes, it all worked out. It was beautiful. But like going back to the Clearwater thing, we had to be there in November for my brother's wedding.
Okay.
So had we been able to go other places and go to Clearwater when it made better sense,
okay,
But see, I feel like we just jumped around. I was talking about Asheville, and then you went back over to. I'm confused now.
Let's continue.
Okay, I missed something there. All right, question. I'd love to know what are some things you wish you knew before embarking on the nomad lifestyle.
I wish we knew how um I'm searching for a word. How the only word that comes to mind is I don't want to say fragile, but the mail system, how strict, like in it's not conducive.
Okay, before you continue, one of the other questions is how do you get mail? So should we answer that first?
Well, I feel like okay, we can answer
Because
both
I
these
didn't know
questions.
that was going to be one of
We
your things.
we can answer both these questions. So one of the other questions is how do we get mail? So one of the things I wish I knew before we traveled is basically like understanding how mail works as basically you're because technically we're homeless, technically, right? And navigating that as a nomad. And yes, you could send mail to a friend, with family or whatever. And but where does business come in with that, right? Because some businesses stuff, especially banks and stuff, they want you to show basically something saying you live or you get mail at this place, right? Or the place that we get mail, it's a digital mailbox. It sends off red flags a lot of times because or whatever reason. So understanding or having a better understanding on mail and how mail works, not only as you know individuals but a business as well. And I think a lot of people, you might know a little bit more about this than I do, Jen. A lot of people they're nomading, but they may still have a residence or something they send mail to, or a friend or a family house. I don't know.
Yeah, okay. So to answer this, why I was like, we should answer the where do you get your mail? So when we were looking for a place to have our mail, yes, yes, some people use a home or a friend's house or something as their residence. When we were looking for a mail place, there's virtual mailboxes, and then there's mailboxes that you can use, and I use these terms lightly, that you can use like as residency, but that is also a light term because of what Jay was saying. So we use my RV mail because we were able to use that address and put it on our ID. Now, for us, having already been Florida residents, we were able to change that address on our ID with no issues. If you were, because a lot of people in the RV world, they want to have the residency in like Montana or Florida or the Texas, those, because those are states that don't have taxes, and then they actually like move to those areas and then they can use that address. I don't know all the ins and outs, but like that's one of the considerations when you're doing this. Like, is it just a virtual mailbox? Because let's say you can use your mom or your friends, or you can use someone's house as your residency. That's the easiest. I would say that's the easiest thing. That's one thing, like you were saying, you wish you would have known ahead of time, right?
Hmm.
Because like he was saying, like our our address is a commercial address, and so that's what flags like banks, insurance, and different things. We've still been able to work it out, but it's just been kind of annoying on a couple of fronts. Now, if you have a residency already and you're wondering how to get mail, get a virtual mailbox. Whatever system you feel the most comfortable with. I'm gonna tell you what I like about my RV mail. It doesn't matter, you don't have to be an RVer. There's also like Good Sam. There's a bunch of them. What I like about my RV mail is that every time mail comes in, they scan like the envelope, the front, to let you know like you got mail.
You got mail.
So from there, then I see what the mail is. So I have options. I can shred and recycle. I can have them scan and open it. I get 20 scans a month. So that's, we don't get more than 20 pieces of mail. So I scan what I need them to scan. And you can also choose to have them mail it to you. So, for example, I just got a piece of mail today. I already knew what it was. I didn't even have them open. I just shred and recycle because like you know what it is. You're like, I don't need that. Shred and recycle. Now, let's say I'd say for 70 to 80% of the mail that we get, having the digital version is fine. But of course, when your new credit card comes, like because our mailing address on the credit cards is that. So when the new credit card comes or when something like that comes into your mailbox, then it's just a matter of coordinating them mailing it to you. So you're trying to time that up with where you're at. Like right now with 2 weeks left here, I don't think I would take the chance to have them mail that to me unless I'm willing to pay for like FedEx 2-day. And of course you're paying like I don't think you get much of a discount with these places. Like you're paying whatever it costs and they'll mail it to you and they'll send you a tracking number. So let's say there was a credit card, because there probably is going to be, because our business bank is actually getting ready to send us new cards. So when those come in our next place, we will trigger a mail and have it all be mailed to us. And then you get to pick. You get to pick, do you want it sent USPS, UPS, 1 day, 2 day, overnight? Like you get to pick, just like if you were shipping yourself something. So what we do usually is we wait until like there's a few things in there that we need, but it's rare. We've probably only mailed to us handful of times in 2 years. Handful. And when we stayed in the Panhandle, we were actually within 30 minutes of the mailbox. So we went up and picked up a lot of mail in person there. So now packages, ideally you don't have packages go to your virtual mailbox, because then you're going to have to pay for the package to then come to you wherever you are.
Right.
And yes, with all of these places, they're used to people being mobile. So they can, you know what I'm saying? You can change your address. Like it's very easy to change your address. Now, I have no idea how these work with international or how they handle, because we haven't had to deal that with. This is more with USA travel. So yeah, like I would not send packages to a place like that, because you're basically double shipping. Okay, Jay's bored and done with this question. So marking that off. Oh, some things you wish you knew before embarking on the nomad lifestyle. Is that the only thing?
Only thing really I could think about. I'm pretty sure there's more.
We have a low connection on here. Okay, so what I wish I knew before. You know what? Honestly, looking back, I'm glad I didn't know some of the things I knew now, because I feel like it might have held me back from wanting to do it.
Like what?
Well, if I knew that I would be stressed out over finding a place, I might not want to go, because that sounds too stressful and not something I'd want to deal with.
I didn't interpret the question like that, though. I get what you're saying, but I kind of feel like that's kind of a perspective type of thing, because in that moment you were stressed out because the pressure you put on yourself. So kind of like, sorry guys, totally getting philosophical real quick. Kind of like, okay, well, looking for a place is probably going to be stressful, right?
But that's what I feel like this question may be. Like, what do you wish you knew? I don't know. Like, I'm glad I didn't know very much. I'm glad that I kind of was like blissfully unaware, because, okay, the mail thing was a big one. What else? Like, what else do you wish you would have known? I feel like we've had a pretty good experience, but maybe because of all my travel nationally with a job, I already was like downloaded with certain information.
Yeah, really. I
from
mean,
my experience.
like I said, I'm pretty sure there's something, but nothing really like jumps out.
I'll tell you that for me, I'll tell you a couple of things, and this isn't necessarily wish I would have known. These are things that I feel like maybe would apply if you're like, hey, what do you wish you would have known? A couple tips that I have learned along the way. So when you're going to be a couple of things. So we have a USA like big 50 state map for like main highways and stuff. That's in the car. So for some reason my phone was dead, or I don't know, something happened, we could still get around. I could follow a map and we could get where we needed to. Maybe not on like the actual roads to get in, but like I've got that as a backup. And then another thing that I do is when we get to a state, a lot of times, especially if we're in more like remote type states like Montana or Idaho, or even here in North Carolina where there's places that don't have service, I will get that state's physical map. And usually you can get these at the like welcome centers or whatever. They're free. Like you can get these things.
That's a good point. Now that you say that, some things this is kind of twofer though. Like,
are you jumping to another one?
No.
Okay.
I'm still on things kind of.
But I had a second part of the map thing.
Okay.
So the other part with the maps is one thing that is my go-to is I download on Google Maps. I download the map areas. So like where we're staying next, we don't have service in that part, and I don't want to lose my GPS or not know how to get somewhere. So I download maps where I'm going, especially for a hike or something, because you go up to the trailhead and then it's time to leave and you're like, shit, I don't know how to get back. I download the maps where we are, especially when it's more remote. So that way I always have access.
So couple of the things is like understanding and knowing, like, especially if you're used to being in the city where you usually have cellular service the majority of the time. And if you run out of something, you could walk, run, drive up the street 5-10 minutes and get it, right? Some things you should just have, right? And something you pointed out, which totally makes sense, is, like I said, I'm super big on technology. And I was thinking about getting like new flashlights that charge instead of putting batteries. But if you're somewhere where you don't have power, you can't charge these things. So batteries is smart, and having little things like this in the car, because yeah, I've spent the majority of my life in the city. And then when we started this, a lot of the places were like kind of off the beaten path. And it's like, oh, I'm glad we have an extra flashlight in the glove box. Oh, well, I'm glad we have this thing of batteries. So it's not technically I wish I knew, but it's kind of like, yeah, I kind of wish I knew, because you're being more prepared for these situations.
You know, one of the things that I'm kind of curious about is I have mixed feelings about this. I'm going to throw this up because we haven't talked about this. This is potentially, I wish we would have known. One of the things we did, because when you live in an apartment or house, you have a lot of stuff, right? And when you're going through and selling everything, you realize like all the stuff you have. And for us, we have a full bag, like a gym bag, like an Adidas gym bag that's probably, I don't know, 3 feet by 2 feet or something. And it's full with extra toiletries because we had a lot of stuff when we left. So we brought the extra soaps and the extra, I don't even know what's in there. We brought a lot of stuff. And I thought that by bringing that one, I was like, oh, we'll save money along the way. We already have it. That bag is still full 2 years later. Like, how is it full? What are we carrying?
It's crazy.
So I kind of feel like I want to go in there and be like, we literally are carrying this stuff for 2 years, that like some of the things that I'm currently frustrated with where like living the nomad life is I am so sick of my clothes. Like what I'm wearing on camera right now, I feel like I'm wearing every day. Like, I'm so sick and bored of it. Like I miss having a diverse closet. And I know once we go international, it is what it is. And we're just going to have basic clothes that I'm going to wear all the time, black shirts and black. I don't know, man. Like I like having diversity. So I'm like, man, if we didn't have that bag, I could have a few more pieces of clothes.
I don't care, dude.
He doesn't care. But for me, so I'm like, I'm thinking about the toiletry bag. Like, did we really need to bring that many extra toiletries? Like, we're not going into like the Sahara Desert for months upon end where we're not going to be by things. Like, we can go buy stuff. And speaking of buying stuff, one thing that I've learned that I was not open to before was using and leveraging the dollar store. I am so serious about this because I grew up where there's like the dollar store, like, ew, we don't go there. It's all cheap. Sure. I get it. Some of the stuff there is cheap as shit. But I'll tell you that the Dollar Tree I've learned for it to be our go-to. And I've learned which things really assist and support. And here's what I'm saying, because as we're traveling in these furnished places, even though they have knives, the knives might like work like my phone. If I were going to take my phone and cut through something, that's about how good some of the knives are. So we've like bought our own knife, and we've we carry certain things around. But what I say is Dollar Tree, like hand towels for the kitchen, they're not that great, right? Like they suck. They're really not that great. But like, let's say the kitchen doesn't have a certain utensil, or you need an extra like flipper. They only have one. We like having 2 or 3. I'll go buy one from the Dollar Tree so we have an extra one. Or if you need like extra measuring spoons or something, like I'll go buy that there. Like there's a lot that we get at the Dollar Tree.
Right.
Honestly, there's a lot. So don't underestimate the Dollar Tree, especially if it's just something that you're going to fill in, unless you're going to decide to carry it yourself and, take it around where you're going. Like if you want to have it permanently on you, then you may want to invest in something a little nicer so it doesn't break immediately, etc. But the Dollar Tree has been huge. So speaking of, I love this question. Are your personal possessions just sparse, or do you move a lot of stuff each time? And I say yes to both. Yes, we have sparse, and yes, we move a lot of stuff.
Sparse.
Like not very much. Like,
oh yeah. I mean, yes, I would say yes to both of those as well.
Yeah, like we don't have a lot.
But we have so much.
But we have a lot because it takes like an hour to pack our car. And if we've got stairs or something, it takes longer, but it takes about an hour to pack the car. So we have a lot. We really do. But like relative to you living in your home, we don't have that much, right? Yeah. Like we really don't.
Yeah.
But there are certain things that we have purchased along the way. So we have like I was talking about the kitchen. We travel with a blender. So we travel with
it's a smaller
Ninja. It's a small Ninja blender.
Yeah, we don't have
We travel with a small Ninja blender. We travel with an Instant Pot. We travel with like for kitchen stuff. There's just a lot that because it's important for us to have nice stuff. So I've got a couple sets of measuring spoons. We have a knife. We have so many different utensils. Like we have chopsticks. We have an ice cream scoop. We have a pizza cutter. And these are super basic things, but we have found that these Airbnbs like don't always have some of these like outlier things.
Right.
Some do, some don't. I'm trying to think what else is in my little like
spices.
We carry a full lunchbox worth of spices. Like just because I know that I could buy them in each place, but we also use them so frequently in what we're cooking that it doesn't make sense to buy them in every place. So that's a staple that we carry. And then like we have our own projector and projector screen. Like where we're at right now, we moved the TV to a safe place and we project onto this big white wall and we watch like we're in a movie theater. We watch, whatever, or Jay has a PlayStation, so we play. We have a lot of comfort. So we have a huge bed for our senior dog. We take our own, oh my God. If I can give one piece of information, if you're going to travel this way, bring your own pillows. I mean, obviously, if you're flying from country to country, that may not be the case. But if you're in a situation where you can take your own pillow, take your own pillows. And we even take our own sheets. We have a queen and a king sheet set. And they're bamboo sheets, which we love. So they're soft, they're a cooling factor because I would say most of these sheets are cool if you're going to stay for a couple nights, but to live in for a couple months, oh God, some of these sheets are heavy and thick and like.
Hey man, find your way to travel.
Yeah, like so we carry sheets. We carry and we used to carry a blanket we got, and then we're like, okay, this is too big, so we left that in storage. So speaking of like, where is the rest of our stuff? We have a 5x5 storage unit that's back where we started in Tampa Bay, and the couple of questions that come up about storage is like, okay, you haven't had the stuff in 2 years, like you could be on the road for an infinite amount of time. Like, what's the point of the storage? So like, what kind of things do we have in storage, or what are your thoughts on having, and we got a small storage unit. I would not, do not store all your furniture and stuff, because honestly, you could buy it again.
Yeah.
It's not worth it to pay to store all your furniture. I don't think, unless it's like super special to you, then that might be a whole different
sentimental stuff. Like, and even if they had like a smaller unit, we would probably get that. But a lot of sentimental stuff, like stuff that
Mhm.
we can't. Well, anything is possible, but like you would have to get rid of something else to bring the thing, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I have a couple of guitars. Jenny
Mhm.
got me a guitar for my birthday, so like that's in there.
Yeah.
One of our good friends got us this awesome coconut wind chime.
Mhm.
That's in there.
Those are things we want to keep when and if we settle down.
Whatever that looks like. But still, even if we don't, like those are special things. Um, and we probably could, like I said, if they were like, hey, we have this storage unit that's this big
That's
and
smaller.
that big, we were like, yeah, we'll take it.
Yeah, we
We
would downgrade.
and because I mean, yeah, we put a lot of stuff in there once we sold everything, but it's like as you travel like this, you know what I'm saying? You evolve, you grow, Like a big thing was like we had a shit ton of silverware and dishes and like whatever, and it's like
God, you can buy that stuff
why
so easily
why
again.
why?
Like,
So it's like the sentimental stuff.
mhm.
Basically the stuff like yes, you could get it again, but there's a sentimental attachment.
Mhm.
And but once again, some people are like,
Oh
I,
well.
I really don't care. I'll write it down and that's my memory of it. I had X, Y, and Z. And once again, like whatever it is for you.
Here's something that kind of goes into the what did you wish you knew before? I did not realize, obviously it's in the contract, but the contracts for storage units are really long and boring, and that's one of the few contracts I don't read. But apparently a storage unit can just
Up the
jack up your
price.
price whenever they want. Our price has been jacked up. Like when we first got the storage unit, and I know storage units are expensive everywhere. So some of you may have bigger storage units. You're like, yeah, mine's $300. So when we first got the 5x5, it was like $45 a month, something like that.
Mhm.
And now we're at like $80 a month. So, it really has you like, I don't know. I guess I just thought 45 a month, that's what it is. So with a fluctuating, and I don't think they're going to take it back down.
Of course not.
Like as it goes up, that's where it's going to stay. So, you know, I wish I would have known that before, but honestly, it probably wouldn't have changed anything because we needed somewhere to store our stuff. And here's the thing that I'll say about storing your stuff, whatever it is. If you're going to store in a friend or family's house or place, just one thing to be aware of is if for some reason they're like, hey, I don't really want to store your stuff anymore, or I am moving, or I'm downsizing, or whatever the thing is, just be mentally prepared that you may need to fly back or get back in that area so that you can go handle your stuff.
Right.
Right. And true, you can always make something out. Maybe you have a friend who can go move it all into a storage unit or something. I don't know. There's always a way to make it work. Because like this has nothing to do with Nomad, but like I sold my house and I wasn't even in the area and I had people handling the repairs and stuff from afar. So there's always a way to make it work, but just be prepared that if you are using someone's space in their house, that at any moment they could be like,
Yeah.
hey,
And a
I don't want to do
situation
this
like
anymore.
that, and everything is figure outable, but a situation like that, I rather have more control
Yeah.
than not.
Right. Then being like, hey, I need your shit out by next week. Dude, I am like in Washington State and you're in Florida. Like, I got to figure out in a week how to get there. God damn. You just, anyways. So, a couple other like fun little logistical questions here is do you stay with others?
I prefer not to.
Yeah. Like, we have not really up to this point. Like, we do not, because it's the two of us and our two dogs, we do not stay in, like, in someone's house, like in a room, because that's a way to do it. Like you could stay in someone's room and rent a room or something like that, or have like communal housing. We don't do that. We want our own separate space. Now, the other caveat to that is, do you stay with others? Like here where we're at, we have our own separate space. We're completely private. But guess what? The owners live upstairs. Like we're in their house. We're in a private basement apartment in their house. So like technically we're not staying with others, but like we are staying with others because whether you're in a guest house, you're in someone's house or something like that, you're still going to be in relative proximity to the owners. Like here's some different ways we've done it. So One of the places we stayed, their house was in front. They had a barn out back that they had converted the upstairs into a really cute oversized studio. It was one of the first places we stayed.
That was kind of cool. That was a cool experience.
That was cool. We were separate. We saw them a little bit. You know, it wasn't a huge deal. We've also stayed in a couple different basement ones. We stayed in a basement one in Idaho, northern Idaho. And that one was nice. Like, we really didn't hear them very much. Like, we really...
No, I was thinking, oh,
Merv was really cool.
Yeah, Merv was cool.
We didn't really interact much. We didn't mind being in that basement apartment. That was nice. In this basement apartment, the way that it's built, it has nothing to do with the owners. The way that it's built, you can hear when their dogs are going out, when they wake up. Like, they wake us up every day because we wake up when we wake up. We're not, you know, so they get up at like 7:11. I'm pretty sure they have an alarm set for 7:11 because it's like pretty much what time they get up, and the dog's like, brrr, and it wakes us up. So we've also stayed in someone's really big house in Idaho, and they had an apartment above the garage.
Yeah, what do you call those? Like a mother-in-law suite or something like that?
Yeah, and so we could see them off of our balcony when they were in their backyard. And yes, we were like pulling next to their garage, but because we were like over their garage, we really didn't hear them. So that was fine. So we don't mind staying with people as long as it's a separate space.
Yeah.
But we are going to think twice about any basement apartments moving forward, and maybe even asking, like, how much can you hear downstairs? You know, what's above it? You know, like, what living quarters is above the living quarters that we're going to be in?
Right.
Now, the only time we have stayed with someone else, there's been, I think, 2 times, if I'm remembering right. Oh, no, that was pre-nomad trip. We stayed with a friend when we were in Tennessee, and we stayed in their basement. And so we had our own shower, we had our own bathroom, we had our own entrance, but like we went upstairs and we shared, you know, their kitchen and stuff. So when staying with friends like that,
I think that's different though, because it's friends. You know each other, you feel comfortable. It's like, hey, what's up? What are you doing?
Yep.
Instead of like, you know, you're sharing a space with somebody and they have after work time and you like come up and they're like, yo, what the fuck you doing? I'm like trying to whatever. So that's kind of not that they would be like that, but it's different. I would feel awkward.
Okay. So another question is, where do you winter?
Where the fuck you going?
I know, right? When I first saw this question, I was like, I love this question because it's like, well, where do you winter? Well, we spent one winter in Idaho.
North Idaho.
We were in North Idaho and in Southern Idaho because we spent, you know, like the October, November, December in North Idaho, and then we spent like January, February in Boise. So we spent one winter completely in Idaho, cold. And then last winter we spent in the panhandle of Florida. So you're right, like wherever we want is totally the answer. But this winter then, you know, when you kind of go into, as we move into like, I'm not fully going there, but like kind of what's next for us. I don't know. I mean, I'm feeling like this winter we're going to be like where it's warmer, probably in Southwest area is what I'm thinking. Okay, I'm wondering if you have family that you go to for holiday, or do you wander and find adventures for Christmas and New Year's, or do you just leave it to fate?
Definitely the second one. It only because we travel with everything, you know, like I'm pretty sure like my family's like, yo, whatever. If we got room, you can come stay. But the navigating 2 dogs and where are we going to put everything in, like, so there's a possibility for number one, but what we've learned is it's kind of fun to kind of create our own thing, because both of us, it's been like family traditions, you know, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and now it's like, okay, well, especially after, you know, world closing down and shit changing for everybody, you know, it's like, okay, well, what do we want to do? What kind of stuff do we want to create? What kind of traditions do we want to have? I wouldn't want to leave that up to fate. Maybe, I don't know. It's like I'm half and half on that one. Yeah. So I'm kind of in between 2 and 3.
Yeah, I agree. Because like one Thanksgiving, so the Thanksgiving we were in Idaho, it was cool because I was gifted like a whole traditional Thanksgiving meal. And I had never cooked a turkey on my own and all of that. So that was fun. But also that environment, and we've talked a lot about this on our podcast, like the environment of where you are supports different things. So that environment was very supportive of like being Susie homemaker and trying new things and stuff. So
Susie homemaker.
like I totally embodied that when I was there. So that was fun. Now this last Thanksgiving, we didn't do a turkey or anything. It wasn't even on our radar. I don't even think.
Where were we at?
We were in Fort Walton Beach. We didn't do, because it was right. We left Clearwater on the 22nd, and then we were in Fort Walton Beach for Thanksgiving.
What did we do?
Well, I think we just chilled. I don't know. We went and rode bikes or something.
We didn't even do anything.
Not for Thanksgiving. Now for Christmas, the Christmas in Idaho was a little bit special because the owners of the place that we were at, they decorate the whole area, and we were really remote. So it was like nice because people were coming to like where we were staying because they had Santa and they had food and they had like Mrs. Claus's workshop. And so that was cool to experience and be a part of that. I did appreciate that.
And people.
Yeah, there were people there. We were like, oh my God, there's people downstairs hanging out. Unfortunately, the food wasn't the greatest, but we did go down and have barbecue. And it was nice to like walk downstairs and eat dinner. It was cool. So, we did Christmas that way, and then this last Christmas we were in Fort Walton Beach and we chilled. And actually, we did plant-based Whole30 last year over the month of December. So like we're enjoying trying different things. We did get a gift from your mom, and we got a card from a friend, and so the card was like a palm tree Christmas tree, and we put that Christmas tree on top of our gifts as our like setup or whatever. But the place where we at, they were super cute. They put up Christmas lights. They're like, "You guys want Christmas lights up at the house?" We were like, "Sure." So we, when we came home, we were able to see that.
That was cool. Like,
it was nice.
So like, yes, we really didn't do anything, but the neighborhood we were in was cool.
Yeah.
Because it was a neighborhood where pretty much everybody decorated, and you could like walk around and be in the quote unquote Christmas spirit. So it was a cool experience.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So this Christmas, who knows? I mean, honestly, like Jay said, 50-50. I feel like if family and something were to pop up where it's like, hey, we'd love to get together this year, then we would just arrange to be in that area. And what Jay was saying, it's probably unlikely that we would be staying at a family's house. We would need to secure whatever lodging for the time there.
Right.
And then stay. And then, just like as if we lived there.
Right.
And drive in for whatever the adventure was. Okay, so got this question. Do you camp?
Fuck no. I don't.
I liked this question because I was like, I would be open to it, but Jay said no. Now, this kind of goes into like what's next for us. And this is me totally throwing this out, just curious. So we are selling our kayak. We've traveled with a kayak or paddle boards for the past 2 years. We've used them sparsely, so we're selling the kayak because it's just it takes up a third of the back of our car. So we are going to have more space. I thought, this crossed my mind with the whole camping thing. I was like, we wanted to maybe do things differently. If we camped, if we got rid of all that toiletry bag and certain things, and we made space for like a blow-up bed or some more comforts, would we want to camp? If we had comforts, but with what we have now, camping is out of the question. But would we want to camp if we had different or more comforts? I don't know. I mean, like that had my mind thinking because we were talking about like what's next or how would we maybe do things on year 3 and beyond. And you guys, I'm like sitting here trying to hype it up. Jay's face is like, hell no. Which I know if you're on video, you can see this. If you're on audio on our podcast, you can't. No, not even if it was comfortable.
I don't know, man. I'll say I would try it.
Yeah, well, to go buy and carry all that around.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We need to rent some shit first because I would try it and I'd be like, yo, drop me off at a hotel.
Yeah, I'm good. Well, I think if we were to camp, it would probably be in like a cabin at a campsite.
I don't know, man.
Even then?
I don't know.
Look. He hates bugs.
Listen, man.
He hates bugs.
I am such a city boy.
Carrie said, Jenny, LOL. Jay, she's been working up to this.
I am such a city boy.
He is. He hates bugs.
I'm such a city boy. Like, especially if you're talking about like, see, when you're talking about investing and stuff that's going to replace the kayak. This isn't just a weekend thing. You know what I'm saying? It's not like, hey, let's go camping for the weekend. It's like, yo, we setting up shop for a minute. We're gonna be in this cabin for like 2 months.
I don't know about a cabin for 2 months.
I'm gonna
It's
whatever,
expensive
whatever. Anyway, whatever. I'm gonna go hiking every day. I'm gonna have my Disney princess moment. I'm gonna be fucking horrible, man. I'm gonna be miserable.
Well, I don't know. You make some good points. And that's why I brought it up towards the end, because like as we move into like what's next. Okay, so here's another good question. And this is the last question that we have, and then we'll move into like what's next for us. Is do you ever just want to get comfortable some and stay a while?
I feel we stay. I mean, we're at a place for two right now. What is it? It's been 2 to 4 months. I feel that's a pretty long while.
Yeah, I feel like this question is such a good one because for example, we were talking like I'll make comments and be like, man, it's a big stretch.
Yep.
The Miko just stretched if you're listening on audio. So I just made a comment the other day. I'm like, man, it would be nice to have a place because then we could have a yard. We could have like the comfortable things for the dogs. Like there's certain things we could have that would be comfortable. But I think that we would be itching to go somewhere because we still have a lot of nomad energy around us. So we are totally committed in this nomad lifestyle. So that sometimes I do think like, oh, it'd be nice just to settle down because we could have like the couch we're sitting on right now is not the most comfortable couch, and like the bed is not like it would be nice to have our own stuff. But I don't think that outweighs, the lifestyle that we have. Now, the piece that you said about it being like 2 to 4 months, yeah, sometimes like that feels like a long time because it's like, okay, it's ready to go. Like,
and two, it's
time to go.
It's kind of a double-edged sword too, because the longer we're in a place, the more comfortable Jen gets.
Yes. And then as it's time to move somewhere else, the anxieties build up and I want to go somewhere else and I start getting a little anxious about it, like, oh, I don't know. But then we get into the new place and it becomes comfortable again. And I think what I've learned with this is like you could literally be comfortable and make anywhere home.
Pretty much.
We have lived in 40 different places. I'd have to count them up. We've lived in, I don't know, 30 or 35 different places over the past 2 years.
I think it's close to 30 and 35.
Yeah, like every place to a certain extent has had a sense of like comfort.
Yeah.
I mean, until it doesn't and you leave, you're like, oh, thank God I'm not there. But I think you have to do that to get your mindset in a place.
This is trash.
Yeah, like we're
so once again, like I said, since we travel with a projector, you get to a place and they're like, oh, we have this big screen TV, right? And we're like, oh man, can we move this somewhere? Like this.
Yo, so in Fort Walton Beach, they had a huge TV. I don't know how big was the TV, 50 inches?
No,
60?
it was a big TV.
It
was like old big.
It was big, like wide, like screen, and big depth.
Yeah, it was old.
It was an old one. So usually with people's TVs, if it is too big or it is nice and we don't need a projector, we'll hook up HDMI in the back.
Right.
I think it didn't have no HDMI.
Yeah, man, we had to.
So he bought on Amazon
the RCA to an HDMI converter for situations like that,
which hopefully won't ever happen again.
But for just in case, and even with that, the picture wasn't clear, so it's like
really old.
It's like it is what it is.
Yeah,
it is what it is.
But that place was nice because we had 3 bedrooms,
an office,
1.5 baths. We even had an office space. The backyard was a huge fenced-in backyard with an in-ground pool. Although it was winter, so it wasn't really like pool season. So that
was cool.
Yeah. So much space there. It was comfortable. The couch was comfortable. The kitchen was big. They had all the stuff, like that immersion blender. Like they had all the things. So it was comfortable to be there for 3 months.
First place that kind of felt like, what I'm saying, this is how I want to travel.
Mm-hmm.
Because usually it's like we go into a place and I go into recon mode, right? I'm like, okay, where are we gonna work? Where are we going to set up this? Mm-hmm. Where can we potentially work out? Where can we, because every place is different. It's getting reacclimated. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, I was in this place and this is how the setup was. Now I'm in this place and the setup is different. So that was the
Mhm.
first place it was like, holy shit, we have an actual kitchen where we can just do kitchen stuff. The kitchen doesn't have to double as an office
Mhm.
because we have an office space.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know? So but too, and you have other places, the where we were, Cleveland,
Georgia.
the little
Mhm.
place we were in Cleveland, Georgia. That was cool because the way the kitchen was set up, one of the tables was our office, and then she had another
It was
table
like a bistro
that
table, like a taller.
bistro, taller table that we ate at. So
Yeah.
it's interesting because there's always something new. You know what I'm saying? It
Yeah.
always kind of keeps you on your feet.
It does.
You know, because it's like, think about it. You've lived in the same place you've lived in forever. You kind of used to a routine. You know, and it's like, yeah, I see him. It's you can only have a routine for so long, and I think that's the thing that where you're comfortable for too long because
Mhm.
you start to
Get like
get
super
get
grounded
grounded
in a
into
routine.
the routine.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. And just to add, because we're here on live with the podcast. So Gary was asking, was that Idaho? I was wondering with the TV. So that big TV that was in Fort Walton Beach in Florida.
Yeah,
We had a massive. Oh, you know what?
we
Oh, Idaho had a shitty TV too, but we didn't even use that TV.
yeah,
You know
yo,
what? I totally, yeah. When we were in Port Hill, that was a really crappy TV. Did it have a VCR on it? I don't
yes, it
know.
had a VCR, a
Like
DVD. They had a movie collection,
it was
but we grabbed a white sheet. We took down
on the biggest
the
wall.
stuff on the wall, and we basically thumbtacked a white sheet to the wall and used our projector.
Yeah, we didn't even that TV. We didn't even RCA that because there was a place to
Yeah,
like in the Fort Walton Beach.
yeah,
There was
it
not a
really
place
wasn't
to
a place
project, so we had to make the TV work, and the TV was too big
to move
to
somewhere else.
move or put in a closet. We're taking up the whole closet. I need
Yeah.
a closet for our bags, right?
So well, I prefer TVs that sit on the stand. You know, like the mounted TVs
Oh
on
yeah,
a.
they're mounted.
Yeah, like I want. You know, I'm like I'm looking at wall real estate. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I'm like, ah, fuck, it's mounted.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
What else can we do?
Yeah, it's definitely. I mean, of course, we take care of everything, put everything back. We're very mindful about all of that. So as we close up, because I know this has been a bit of a podcast, and I have an appointment coming up.
Ooh,
Is
shit.
what's next for year 3? Like we've hit 2 years, we're celebrating 2 years being nomads. Like what's next? And shoot, we can't even like plan the future. So whatever we say now, subject to change. I know one of the things is we did talk about traveling differently, and I feel that already happening. So when we sell our kayak and we create that other space, I feel like it's like okay, fine, it's not camping things that go in there, but like what
An air fryer.
things would we? Yeah, he really wants an air fryer. So like, what things would then take that place in the car? You know, what things can we maybe let go of that we have been holding on to create room for new things and new experiences?
Stop flashing at people.
What can we create? They can't see it. There's nothing. So like what are the things that we can create for new experiences? You know, and even too, it's like even like Jay was saying, you know, do we maybe start making it fun by only booking places that have fenced in backyards? Like where would that take us? You know, or if we only book places that have king beds, or if we only like.
Well, I think one of this question is interesting because I feel it's a personal and a business question.
Mm-hmm.
Because when we started, it was Jenny and Jay.
Mm-hmm.
Like everything was Jenny and Jay.
Yeah.
But now it's Jenny, Jay, and Jenny and Jay when it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like this makes sense,
Yeah.
right? So you're seeing this on the Jenny and Jay platform, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you're stepping into your thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I'm stepping into my thing.
Yep.
And I kind of feel opportunities are going to arise
Mm-hmm.
where there's going to be travel within our travel.
Yeah.
And navigating
that. I can see that because, you know, since you brought that up, like with the direction I'm going with doing Akashic activations And one of the intentions I have moving forward is to be able to support other coaches who are, whether they have coaching programs, events, retreats, to be able to support the people who are coming into their container with Akashic record work to help them go deeper and to help them, have those activations to help then that coaching or retreat, go even deeper for the people. So like you said, the travel within the travel. And then for you, I mean, you're probably going to get invited to speak.
Yeah.
somewhere.
And it's interesting because if you know us, if you've been watching us, like, hi Carrie, like, 2J Holla isn't going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So those of you who are following, and if you're aware, and I'm pretty sure Carrie has been, like, even that you see less of the 2J Holla, you know what I'm saying? And that's kind of in the stuff we're doing together. That's why you see the Hollas,
Mm-hmm.
right? The 2J Holla is going to be more of the CEO brand, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be behind the scenes. You're going to be seeing more of the Hollas when we're both together. You're going to see Akashic activations where you're going to see like Jenny and whatever Jenny's doing, and you're going to see more of, the eclectically conscious, you know what I'm saying, which is more of Jay,
Mm-hmm.
showing up as Jay,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like in that, it's kind of, I want to say too, like a lot of people might be like, yo, you guys are a power couple. You do so well together, right? Well, one of the main reasons a power couple is a power couple is the reason they're powerful is because they're powerful in their own right, in their own area. So when they come together, they're even more powerful. So now, yes, we work well together, but we're
Mm-hmm.
stepping into our own power, our own confidence, and our own thing. So when we do come together as the Hollas, it's
Even more potent.
it's it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I totally agree with what you're saying, because I was just telling people, like, we're not really like traveling, like we are traveling full time right now, so we don't need to like go on a vacation somewhere. But at the same time, I can see me flying to Costa Rica to be at someone's retreat. Like, you're going to be with the dogs, you're going to fly wherever you fly. Like, there's going to
Potentially
be
speak
that
somewhere, and
right. There's going to be that type of thing.
Yeah.
And if it makes sense for us all to go as a family, we will all go as a family.
Right.
It just depends on what makes sense. And we have to keep in mind, when you talk about what's next for year 3, we do have a senior dog. Our dog is 14. And so he could be with us a long period of time. Like, you never know when they're at that phase. So like, there's just different things that we're going to be doing. We can't take a 12-hour trip to a national park anymore. Like, we have to be mindful.
Yeah, the priority is making sure he's as comfortable as he can be, but still making that make sense.
Yes.
Right. So if somebody's like, yo, I want you to come, whatever, and it's like, yo, my family has to come, and I need you to figure that out if you really want me there.
Right. Yeah, because with him being like, see, I would love for us to drive into Mexico and into maybe Central America. I would love to explore that, but also just being aware we have a senior dog. So
year 3, primary focus is keeping Nietzsche comfortable, whatever that looks like. Inner travel within the travel, like whatever that looks like, because Jenny's already been like, people are like, yo, I have this retreat idea. What do you think? I would love for you to be a part. Sky's the limit, really, man. Sky's the limit, but it's definitely gonna be different. I tell you what, year 3, we don't know what the fuck is coming. Oh, well, excuse me, I'm gonna speak for me. I don't know what the hell is gonna happen year 3, because I started off year 1 only wanting to do 4 to 6 months, right? And here we are in fucking Asheville, North Carolina.
Well, and 2, I feel like we've kind of in one way we've made our ways around the states, right? Like we went up and saw some things. We obviously haven't gone to every state, and that's not even a goal. Like, for me, I don't want to necessarily like go to every state. That's not a goal for me. And it's like, okay, because like honestly, beyond July, I have no idea what we're doing. Because July, we're going for a family 50th wedding anniversary in the Cincinnati area. I know that that's in July. After July, it's like I don't know, where are we gonna go? Like, do we maybe go up into New England? Do we head out west? Do we hang out in Iowa? I don't know where we're gonna end up, but I think eventually, you know, we will want to spice up what we're doing in some way or fashion because we'll get bored. I think we'll get bored if we just keep doing it the same way.
And that's why I think like the inner travel and the travel
Yeah.
is gonna be big.
Yeah.
Maybe not as big for year 3, but like
Mhm.
going forward, you're going to see us together and us separate, like for whatever reason, for different opportunities. It's I like, yeah, like she said, you can't really tell the future, man. But it's
Yeah.
like
You
it's
have
this is definitely turned into a business. Excuse me, a business that's created around our lifestyle and not the
Mhm.
other way around.
Mhm. Yeah, because you know what else just popped in my head that you could see in year 3 is retreats where you come meet us or meet me, depending on like what we're doing in this beautiful house that we're holding the space for you to have a transformation to come. So there are things like that that are on the radar for us that would be very different than how we've been doing things, and it would be fun.
Yeah.
Okay,
We'll talk about
maybe
that
Jay's the support in the retreat, and I'm hosting the retreat, and he's there for support. Kind of running things, maybe doing video and stuff or whatever, depending.
We'll talk about
Anyways,
it.
so
I'm open to it. I'll say that. I'm
yeah,
open to it.
and it's exciting, and of course, like we're unofficially open to helping support you to live your best life and be a nomad, like whatever that means. And what I say is unofficially, it's not like we have some kind of like coaching program or something to help you become a nomad. But of course, if we can support you, whether it's just a couple questions here and there, or if you actually want to work with us and it makes sense, because we do not have the capacity energetically to just take on like random projects. So if it makes sense and you're like wanting to step into this new life path, let's talk. But we do not formally have a how to live the van life, and in this course we're not doing that. We're not really going
boring.
that direction.
I wouldn't even want to create something like that because
Yeah.
it's different for everybody.
Yeah, totally. So yeah, like anything, find your own journey. We hope that you enjoyed this conversation. Let us know if you have any other questions. Carrie said, props to you two for sharing this conversation. So yes, thank you for being here.
And props to you getting ready to kick this marathon in the ass Sunday.
We got 2 Carries. This is Curiosity.
Oh.
But still Carrie, the other Carrie.
Was the other Carrie on?
No.
Oh, this is well,
Curiosity.
You got it. Well, hi Carrie. New Carrie. Thank you.
Yes, and then the other Carrie that we're talking to that's like our OG. Props to
Unicorn Carrie. Props to you.
By the time she hears this, it might be after. Anyways, props to you.
Props to you for kicking the marathon in the throat.
Coming up. Yes.
On my birthday. So thank you for the birthday present. I appreciate it.
So many things. So follow us all the places I've got on the live, theholisticlife.com. That takes you to the links that you can find, like where Jay's hanging out, where I'm hanging out. Like you can find Jay's YouTube, my Instagram, my YouTube, all that stuff on theholisticlife.com, because this is the Holistic Life podcast. We're putting this lots of places because it does overlap in all the spots for our life. What else?
That's it, man.
All right, guys. See you next time on the next episode. Bye.
You're just looking at me.
I know. And we're still on. It's not ending.